It's me again. I hope you're having a good day so far. And I would just like to start out by saying this is going to be a rather informative video because the videos I created yesterday, I realized came out of a rather uninformed place. So I would just like to add a bit more information to what I shared with you yesterday. And well, without further ado, here we go. Um, so basically, I actually have quite a few pages of notes because I found this pretty interesting. So yesterday, after that whole avocado thing, I was like, what else could I be eating that has a great water impact? So I started doing some research. And the first thing that jumped to mind was I overheard someone saying how bad the almond industry was. And I was like, okay, let's research that for a minute. So, what I did was I looked up some stats and I started calculating my own numbers from this because the ones that were out there didn't seem right. Like, for example, there's this website and it was by the Green Optimist, and it was talking about bovine milk versus almond milk and which one is better for the environment. And the numbers they were throwing out there just seemed really, really crazy to me. Um, so they were talking about the fact that, like, there's 460 gallons that go into making 1 pound of almonds. And I'm like, I guess I could see that. But when I was doing the calculations and stuff, it turned out that the math that they were using um, didn't add up to mine. So I did my version of the calculations that they did. And what they did was they calculated for 1 gallon of almond milk. So I wasn't quite sure how to go about this, but I ended up taking basically everything that they did, and I ended up finding the calories in 1 cup of what they thought almond milk would be. And not gonna lie, it kind of triggered my eating disorder brain just a little bit, all this calorie counting, but I was like, this is something I want to know, and I just thought it was for the greater good, so I went with it. And it turns out that the almond milk that they were talking about was 120.75 calories per cup. Um, and as an almond milk connoisseur, I will tell you that is quite a bit of calories per cup of almond milk. And I wasn't really sure how to go about that because I'm like, a bunch of websites were listing this 120.75 calorie per cup. I don't remember what the numbers actually were, but it was something, I want to say, like 600. I can't, honestly, I can't remember, so I'm not even going to try. But it was this crazy amount of water going into the almond milk, and I was like, this just can't be right. Like, it's like the math isn't working out. So then I did a little more research, and it turns out they had their own recipe for almond milk, and it was homemade. And all the homemade recipes used pretty much the same thing, which was um, like 2 pounds of almonds to create 1 gallon of almond milk. And that is nothing close to what you'll find with the other almond milks. So go back to my previous calculations before I did that. So basically, what I did was I took the calories in a cup of almond milk and then multiplied it, like, did some, yes, the technical term is stoichiometry, to figure out how many almonds are in 8 ounces of almond milk, and based on a 30 calorie cup. and that is pretty standard across different brands of almond milk that you can find out there that are unflavored and unsweetened. And I found that there were, um, if you use one almond being approximately 7 calories, which it's also kind of standard, um, 4.3 almonds per 8 ounces of almond milk. And then you can, well, 8 ounces is 1 cup. So then you multiply that by 16 to figure out what the entire gallon is. So 4.3 almonds per cup times 16 cups per gallon. Then you get 68.8 gallons. And then you find the water impact of one almond, which is surprisingly 1.1 gallons for one teeny tiny little almond. And that shocked me quite a bit. And it turned out that it is 75.68 gallons of water needed to create 1 gallon of almond milk. Um, and that's for the almonds. I just realized talking about this. Um, that math doesn't seem to add up. Oh, no, that works. Um, yeah, for a second I was thinking um, that the normal amount of almond milk you get in the store is half gallon, but since I did calories per cup and then multiplied that to gallon, yeah, it works out. It's okay. Um, However, that doesn't include the amount of water that goes into the actual almond milk itself. That's the almonds, and the way they do that is they blend the almonds up with water and a couple other various ingredients used for um, consistency and homogeneity in the product, um, as well as a lot of almond milks are enriched with like B12 and different vitamins that are kind of hard for people that don't kind of hard for people to get in their diet that don't normally drink dairy products. So it's like fortified in a way. So it doesn't include that, but I mean, 1 gallon, if you have 1 gallon of almond milk, there's like 1 gallon of water, maybe a little less to make room for the other ingredients in there. Um, but yeah, so 75.68 gallons of water for 1 gallon of almond milk. Um, I guess you can make that 76.68 if you want to add the water in the final product. And then I decided, why don't I just compare it to normal cow's milk that you hear people talking about all the time? So I took, um, I managed to find out that, how did I go about this? Um, it is 54.9 gallons to create 1 cup of bovine dairy milk, and I found that from the Water Footprint Network. I multiplied that by 16 cups per gallon, and that totaled to 878.4 gallons of water to produce 1 gallon of bovine milk. I was like, my mind was blown away by this. I was like, that is so much water. So then I was like, you know what? We're just going to compare this, and maybe it's actually the thing I get as a vegan a lot is where do you get your protein from? So I'm like, well, maybe it's such a good source of protein that like the whole gallons of water per gram of protein works in favor of the cow's milk versus almond milk. So I worked that math out. So I found there's 8 grams of protein in 1 cup of cow milk, and then you like do all the cancellations and your stoichiometric problems, and I got 128 grams of protein per 1 gallon of bovine milk, um, which brings us to, what did I do? Oh, the one, the 878.4 grams of gallons of water. I put G and I'm used to that meaning grams. So 878.4 gallons of water, and then over 1 gallon per 1 gallon of cow milk. Multiply that by 1 gallon of cow milk over 128 grams of protein per 1 gallon, and then I got 6.8625 gallons of water per 1 gram of protein in cow's milk. So I'm like, I guess that's not too bad. But then I did almonds. So you have 75.68 gallons of water per 1 gallon of almond milk. You multiply that by 1 gallon of almond milk containing 17.95 grams of protein total. And then I got 4.2162 gallons of water per 1 gram of protein. So you have we'll just call it 4 gallons of water, rounded of course. And then if you're going to round, then it would be 7 gallons of water for 1 gram of protein for cow's milk. So 7 gallons of water for 1 gram of protein cow's milk, approximately 4 gallons of water per 1 gram of protein in almond milk. And no matter how you look at it, I found that almond milk is more efficient in grams of protein per gallons of water than cow's milk, and it also has a less water consumption total. So I found that kind of interesting, but it still seemed like a lot of water to me. So the next thing that I looked up, I found this website. It was called Truth or Drought, and I realized it's probably a little biased, so I got another source after that, and I'll share that. So I looked up the standard water used for other products, and I found 1 serving of almonds is 23 gallons of water. That one I was a little iffy about, because if I actually pull up my calculator here, there's 23 almonds in a quarter cup, and a quarter cup is your standard serving. And here, let me run a quick calculation. So 23.0 times 1.1. I actually got, doing my own calculation there, 1.1 gallons per almond. I got 25.3 gallons, and they came up with 23. So there's a little bit of room for error here, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and just tell you what these said. So 1 serving of almonds is 23 gallons. 1 egg is 53. That one is very consistent across different sources, so I trust that one. 1 glass of bovine milk was 55. I did not actually calculate that. I guess I could go back and see if that matches my numbers. 8 ounces of chicken is 234 gallons. 8 ounces of pork, 290 gallons. 1 hamburger, 660 gallons of water. But the biggest one that I found was 8 ounces of steak being 900 gallons of water. That just seemed crazy. So then I was like, you know what? I'm already going way above and beyond for this. Let's check out a couple more and see what happens. So 1 kilogram of tomatoes. I actually didn't do the conversion on this. I did with the ones on the following page, but I forgot about this one. But 1 kilogram of tomatoes, and I believe this was in Australia, depending on the growing seasons. It was anywhere between 5 to 53 liters of water, and that the source for that was Page, Rideout, and Bellotti. Found it through an article on Science Direct, and they're just a website where you can go to see like abstracts of papers. I pulled the numbers from there. And then the other thing that I found, and I actually trust this source more than the rest of them, I got the global average virtual water content from page 42 of the UNESCO IHE Institute for Water Education Water Footprint of Nations, Volume 1. It was the main report from November of 2004. So I realized it's November 2004 is a little while ago, but I doubt, well, I shouldn't say this, but I don't think that production has changed too terribly much. If I'm wrong, let me know. But these are where the numbers I got from, and the authors for that were, I'm not sure about these names, but Chapagain and Hoekstra. So they calculated basically all the nations on Earth that they could get data from. There's only a couple that they couldn't, I believe. Um, the water content that went into making a bunch of different products. And basically, I just took some that were kind of interesting to me. So, one glass of beer, these are all in liters, but I'll tell you the gallon number right after it. I did a simple conversion and I just went with whatever was closest whole number. There's some of them that are like 0.6, but like I'll tell you those. So, one glass of beer, 75 liters or 20 gallons of water. One cup of coffee, which they standardized to be 125 milligrams. 140 liters of water or 37 gallons. One potato is 25 liters or 6.6 gallons. One cotton t shirt, size medium, averaging 500 grams, was 4,100 liters or approximately 1,083 gallons of water. That's a lot of water. One sheet standard paper, the size A4, I'm pretty sure that's what we call the 8 by 11 here, 10 liters or 2.6 gallons for one sheet of paper, people. That one blew my mind right there. And that's why you recycle paper, folks. Um, One orange was 50 liters or 13.2 gallons roughly, and one apple was 70 liters or approximately 18.5 gallons of water. So, reading this, honestly, 8 potatoes, 6.6 gallons per potato, pretty good. But I am not feeling as bad about the avocado that I was so harsh on yesterday. And I realized that I spoke from a place that wasn't very informed on that. So I apologize. I will stick to eating my avocados, but I am definitely glad right now that I am a vegan because water is one of my main concerns right now. Ever since I was little, water conservation and like clean water and all that has been one of my priorities and something that really worries me. My mom, when I was little, I remember her making this one comment. She said, the Third World War will probably be over access to clean water, and part of me believes that it very well could be because water is becoming such a commodity now. And yeah, it's just, I'm really glad that I stay away from meat. Like, what were those numbers? 8 ounces of steak. So, what is that? Half a pound? A half pound steak is 900 gallons of water. And 8 ounces? Think of how heavy a cow is, people. Like, it just blows my mind. So, yeah, I'm glad I have not eaten meat in a while. And I'm glad I don't drink milk. I am glad that I stick to a lot of plants. All plants, actually, for the most part. I mean, that's what vegan is, primarily plant-based. Yeah, because I eat no animal products, but except honey. I will say that I am a fan of local honey, people that protect the bees, but that is a story for another time. So yeah, that is my informative video of the day. And that's about it. Oh, one other comment. The one thing I will not go back on in my video from yesterday on the avocados is the fact that in some places they're like the agricultural means by which the avocados are produced, and I realize this is true with other fruits and vegetables as well, um, that they're not humane or ethical in some places, like the fact that avocados are given a priority to water over people. I do not agree with that. So I will definitely be researching the companies that my food comes from. And while we need food to live, and even though food is kind of a touchy subject for me, um, yeah, I will try to make sure that I do the least amount of harm possible to nourish myself, um, whether that be, and I mean, that's a tricky thing. I'll talk about this some other time, but sometimes I've found that it is kind of hard being such a conscientious consumer with an ED background, because it's sometimes when I need to eat something and I don't have food readily available, I'll find myself in a sticky situation having to eat something that I don't really want to eat. Um, they rarely ever contain animal products. I will never eat meat, but there is occasional time where I have eaten something that's contained like a little bit of milk, um, and that's because the people either cooking for me or like the situation that I'm in, it's easier for me and it causes less harm both to me and to the other people for me to just eat what is presented. And I realize that's a video for another time, and I'm getting off topic here. But yeah, just please be aware of what you're eating, because there's so much stuff out there that we just don't know. And I think it is our duty living on this planet to be an aware and conscientious consumer. So I'm just throwing that out there. Just take care of yourself and try to take care of the planet while you're at it. So I hope you have a good day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.